I stopped taking my Mounjaro injections for 2 weeks, and here is what has happened. A lot happened. But before I get into that, okay, before I get into what happened with not being on my injections, let me give you a backstory as to why I stopped taking my injections and kind of where I'm at with everything, because my dosage has now changed. Everything's kind of changed. So this is going to be like a bit of an update. I got the tea, so sit down with me, get comfy, let's chat. I won't make this too long. But essentially I have been getting my Mounjaro. So it's actually tirzepatide. So how do I explain this? Because I had someone message me the other day and they were like, what do you mean Mounjaro is a peptide? And I actually didn't realize this until recently, that Mounjaro, my weight loss injections, also known as GLP-1, is actually a peptide. I did not know that. You know, I would see people posting and talking about peptides on social media, and I was like, what are they talking about? Like, what is that? I've been taking it for almost 10 months. I've been on a peptide for almost 10 months. So Mounjaro is the brand. Okay, so it is like the brand, and then you, if you were to remove the label Mounjaro, it's actually the medication, the weight loss medication is tirzepatide. Now, I have been on Mounjaro for over 10 months. Okay, so I have been taking this weight loss medication. That is my dog growling. I don't know, what are you growling at? Anyway, I said it was fine. I was like, we can leave the dogs in while I film. They're going to be quiet. And of course, Dior is not quiet. Anyway, so I have been taking tirzepatide for... We're back. I have been taking tirzepatide for 10 months, okay? To answer some questions that I always get, I was 76 kilos when I started. I'm remembering I was 76 kilos when I started. I'm 169 centimeters. Yes, I was over in my BMI. And when I first started taking Mounjaro, aka tirzepatide, I was getting it through my doctor through a script. Okay, so that's how initially I got onto this weight loss medication. 10 months ago, I went to my doctor. I sat in front of her. I started crying, which I didn't think I would do. I'm not a very emotional person, but there's so much, like, I suppose, shame and embarrassment and a whole heap of courage and vulnerability that's needed when, you know, you share with someone like your weight loss struggles and what you're dealing with. And so for me, like, I went to my doctor, and there's this massive misconception, which also really annoys me when it comes to taking peptides, taking GLP-1s, that you're not doing the normal things you should be doing to lose weight. And it really pisses me off because I was doing all of the things, right? And this is why I got so upset in front of my doctor, because I was like, I'm literally working out at a CrossFit gym 5 days a week, and those workouts are freaking hard. I am getting at least 7,000 steps in a day. I was a vegetarian. Was I vegetarian or was I vegan at that point? Anyway, I wasn't even eating meat, because meat I felt like was inflaming my body. So I was like, I was doing all of these things, and I was literally sat in front of my doctor crying. And I'm like, I'm doing all of these things and I'm still overweight. I'm still miserable when I look in the mirror, and I physically feel uncomfortable. You know, when you carry that extra weight and you just physically feel so uncomfortable. And I shared that with my doctor, and I said, like, I'm doing all the things that I don't understand, because all of these things did used to work for me. Like, I used to have such a fit physique. Like, there was one point where my abs were coming through, and I said to her, it was working. I don't understand why it's not working now. And, you know, there's all sorts of things that happen when you age. I'm in my, like, near mid-30s. I'm 33 years old. I turned 34 this year. And so there's hormones and things are starting to slow down, and that comes into play, which I kind of wasn't prepared for, to be honest. So I was an emotional wreck in front of my doctor, and I said to her, can we look at a weight loss medication? And I had been toying with the idea of getting on a weight loss medication 6 months prior to this conversation, but I was scared. Like, I was listening to all of like the negativity and you're going to get so sick and your hair's going to fall out. So 6 months before this, I did get my bloods done, and after my blood test, everything came back fine. There was nothing wrong with me. So that was kind of in itself, I felt defeated, because I'm like, well, what's going on? Why can't I lose weight? Why do I keep gaining weight? And I was going to have the conversation, like rebook in with my doctor and be like, hey, can I get some, you know, weight loss medication? But then I chickened out. So she's seen on file, I had my bloods done and they were like picture perfect, which is great. And so she said to me, I'm a really strong candidate for three of the weight loss medications, and that was Ozempic, Wegovy, and Mounjaro. And she shared with me Ozempic at the time in Australia, I don't know if it's changed, but it was quite hard to come by. Wegovy was a lot more affordable, but it only had one, I think, active peptide. Please don't quote me on this. Diori, right? Shaking my camera. For those of you that don't know, I have a Dachshund puppy, and she is like, she's chewing my cords right now. Hey. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come say hello. Come say hello. You are a menace. You're a menace. I'm trying to record for the people, and you're annoying, but I love you because you're cute. So yeah, if the camera's shaking or if I'm yelling at someone, it's this little girl. She is a menace. Say hello. Hello. Okay, back to what I was saying. So Wegovy, from what I understand, there was one active peptide ingredient in it, and Mounjaro had two. So Mounjaro essentially was going to work quicker, but it was a lot more high ticket. Okay, a lot more. I don't like the word expensive, but it was, she's, you know, you're going to feel it in your bank account. So I said to my doctor, like, at the time, I don't care. I'm willing to invest whatever into my health and do whatever. Like, genuinely, I don't care about the price. I would rather get on Mounjaro because I heard a lot of negative things about Wegovy too. A lot of people, and personal people to me, close people to me, took it and were really unwell. And so I was like, I don't really want to mess around with Wegovy. I'll just pay the extra money. Let's do Mounjaro. So that was great. So I started out on the 2.5 mg, and I was on that for a month. And the cost of that, I always get asked the cost of that one was $250 for the month. Then we increased, and I had no side effects, nothing. Like, it was freaking fantastic. Things started to work straight away, and it was incredible. So we increased to 5 meg, and every time you increase, the price increases as well, which I wasn't prepared for. So the next price increase, it was well over $400 for the 5 meg. And so yeah, that was that. And then I increased to 7.5 meg, and I stayed on 7.5 for over 3 months. So I was on 7.5 for quite a while, and my body became really comfortable, and I hit a long plateau at 7.5 meg. Now, in saying that, when I got to 7.5 meg, I had lost over 10 kilos. So, you know, I was seeing incredible results, and that's why I kind of wanted to stabilize on 7.5 meg for a while and just see how I was going. That prescription in itself is $560 for a month of that injection. And this is AUD, so Australian. So I stayed on 7.5 meg for quite a while, stabilized, and then I was like, okay, I want to push, just do a bit more of a push, because I still feel like I've probably got about 5 kilos, maybe 7 to lose, depending on, you know, my body, my physique and stuff like that. And so I decided that I was going to increase to 10 meg. Now, the price of a prescription for 10 meg is, in my opinion, like, huge. It's astronomical for what it is. The prescription is nearly $700 for a month, okay, and that's a lot of money. So I was chatting to a friend of mine. He has been in the health and fitness world for a really long time. He's a personal trainer, nutritionist. He's got his certificates. And so he has been around peptides, injectables, supplements, you name it, for a really, really, really long time. And we were chatting about, you know, increasing my dosage, but at the same time I was like, it's a lot of money. Like it's a lot of money to just keep increasing. And so I actually found a way to get my peptides without a prescription, getting them from overseas, and they are literally like a tenth of the price. Like I am saving hundreds and hundreds, like I can't even begin to tell you, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars, okay? And they're coming from overseas, so obviously I don't have the label of Mounjaro. It is tirzepatide, that's what I'm getting, which is the peptide. And so I literally don't have that, you know, I don't have that label at the end of the day. Do you want to go see your sister? Okay. Go. So anyway, so yeah, I don't have that Mounjaro label, and obviously with ordering it overseas, you have a lot of risk involved. You don't truly know what you're getting. You have to kind of do your own research. So I had a lot of like consultations with Nick, and I'll put Nick's Instagram information in the description because he's really helped me navigate this. He's helped me kind of refine things to get me out of the plateau, because we don't just want to keep increasing my dosage as time goes on to break a plateau. Like we don't just want to keep relying on this medication. We want to also rely, and he calls them levers, we want to rely on our other levers, which would be like, you know, exercise, diet, calories intake, stuff like that. And so whilst we have increased my dosage to the 10 meg, we did that for a little bit. Then what happened is I outsourced my tirzepatide through someone else. I got it in, and like I'm not a medical professional, so please don't like take this as verbatim. Like this is, you know, this is for educational purposes. This is just my own experience. Like I said, I will put Nick's information in the description box, and like chat to him. He is a professional in this field. He will be able to help you. You can book a call with him, and he will be able to put you in the right direction. And he's someone that will also help you get your foundations correct and right, which is what I'm a huge advocate for. If you've been watching any of my videos, you know I always talk about making sure that you're working out, making sure that you're eating right before even considering, you know, injecting yourself with these peptides. So anyway, so I increased to 10 megs for a little bit, and then I was like, okay, rather than paying this much money through the pharmacies, I'm going to get it from overseas and just get it myself. And yeah, there's a lot of risk in that. Like you don't have this label. You don't have like the Mounjaro label. It is tirzepatide. It's the same thing, but you don't really know what you're injecting into your body. But at the same time, it's like a tenth of the price. And when you order, in my experience, I've gotten a lot more stock. So I've gotten 10 weeks of product instead of just getting 4 to 5 weeks. So it's been really beneficial. Now the issue with that though, and the reason why I stopped taking my weight loss medication for 2 weeks, is because there was a delay in the shipment. And that's another thing too, that's another risk when you are ordering overseas. You know, it can get stopped at the border. Like it can get stopped at the border. It can get, you know, taken from you. Like the places that you're ordering from can get raided and shut down. Like it's a whole underground thing, you guys. So it was delayed in shipment. Nothing happened to the shipment. It just took longer than expected. And so for 2 weeks, I was without my medication. And it was really interesting because I get asked the question all the time, like, what are you going to do when you stop it? Now, I didn't stop it intentionally. So I literally had 10 megs, and I was taking my 10 megs. I was breaking that plateau. Like the weight was starting to really shift. I was, you know, working with Nick, still working with Nick, and we were working on other things. And then medications dried up. I've got nothing now, absolutely nothing for 2 weeks. So it would be different if I was like to ease my body off of it and wean myself off of it. I would have a very different experience when stopping the medication. but I didn't. I just went cold turkey. And so for 2 weeks, so the first week, okay, so this is the most common question I get is, what are you going to do when you stop it? Well, I've gotten a taste of what it's going to be like when I stop it, right? And I've stopped it cold turkey. Like, I haven't actually properly weaned myself back. When you stop taking the medication, the right way to do it is go down in your dosage. So I would go from 10 meg to 7.5 to 5 meg to 2.5. Dior, come on now. To 2.5, and then I would microdose my 2.5. So instead of doing 2.5 every week, you might do it every fortnight and then once a month, and then you're off of it. Whereas I went 10 meg, boom, 2 weeks cold turkey. So the first week, nothing actually happened. I actually continued to lose weight. In that first week of not taking my injection, I lost a further 300 grams, which is incredible because I've been averaging about 500 grams a week. That's my average, and I have had quite a big plateau, like 3 months where I've just stayed the same weight. So I lost 300 grams and I was like, wow, okay, this is really cool. Now the second week was when things got a little bit interesting, because the second week we went on holidays. Okay, now every morning I was waking up to an all-you-can-eat buffet. Right, everything was in front of me. You know, you've got lunch. I'm like eating chips at lunch with the wraps, and I'm having an ice cream for a snack. And you know, when you're on holidays, and the food that you would normally have access to at home isn't available to you. So I was on holidays. That was the first thing. And then the second thing is that I was getting my period. And, you know, if you're a woman, you know, when you get your period, you're like craving salty food. You're craving extra food, right? Your body is extra hungrier. And I don't cut back on anything. Like, I give into all my cravings, especially around this time. Like, I literally let my body have whatever it wants because I know it's getting ready for a huge shed. And I honor that. And that's a big deal. And so she needs extra energy. So I was hungry. I was craving sweets. And also too, like with my period that was coming, she was late by a few days. So it was a really, really big period. So what I noticed was that I was eating a lot more. I was having a lot more cravings. There was still like, I wasn't eating as much as what I would have been before taking the injections. I wasn't as hungry. I didn't have as much food noise, that's for sure, which was amazing. I did have hunger cues. Okay, so I definitely had my hunger cues that would let me know when it's time to eat. And my skin flared up a lot. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, I have adult acne. And the one thing that I have really loved, and an unexpected side effect whilst taking these peptides, is that my skin has completely cleared up. Like, my skin has become so flawless, so glowy. And I suddenly started to get, you know, pimples come back through, and I was like, oh damn, this sucks. This really sucks. But at the same time, I don't know if it's just because I stopped taking the medication, or was it because I was getting my period, or was it because I was eating, you know, hot chips and ice cream. Like, obviously food really affects your skin, so it could be a multitude of things, but that's what I noticed. So nothing crazy happened in those 2 weeks. Like, it wasn't like anything crazy happened. I was just eating a bit more. I was craving a few more sweets. I had my hunger cues, but I didn't have my food noise, and I still wasn't overeating. Like, there was still, you know, I would have, say, a chicken burger and chips or fries. We call them chips in Australia. I know other countries call them fries. But chips would be on the side, and I would have a few chips, and then I would give the rest to Ethan and just have my burger. So that's kind of what happened. Now coming back, so when we landed literally from the holiday, my medication was here. So instead of jumping back straight into 10 megs, because it had been 2 weeks, I didn't want to jump into such a high dosage just in case my body had a reaction. So I've now gone down in my dosage, and I'm now just dosing 5 megs. And I literally now, so when I was taking Mounjaro, it would be with the pen. I would just put the pen in, you know, you twist the pen, whereas now I just take everything via vial and syringe, so I have to mix it myself. But it's pretty, like, once you mix it once, it's easy to do. ChatGPT is my bestie for that. Like, I ChatGPT everything. I'm like, how do I do this? How do I inject? Blah, 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 blah. And I haven't had any issues with the medication, with the tirzepatide. There has been nothing wrong with what I have brought. I've literally gone straight back into injecting 5 megs a week. So now I'm halving my dosage. the goal is just to work my way up again, to work my way up to 10 megs. But I am, like I said, working with Nick, and we are pulling other levers. So I'm not just relying heavily on the medication right now. We're actually working on my output. So getting more steps in every single day. I was focusing on 7,000 steps, and he's told me, right, you need to aim for 10,000. We're going to break this plateau. Because it was like, you could break a plateau, and he explains this really well, and I recommend, like, even if you just follow him on Instagram, but he explains in the way that to break a plateau, you've got 3 options. You've got your medications and your peptides. You either increase them or jump on them. You either work on the food that your intake, so you reduce your calories, or you increase your output. Now for me, I still train at the gym. I love lifting heavy. I love hitting PBs at the gym. And I know that if I was to reduce my calories, I'm at the moment, I have between 1,400 calories to 1,500 calories a day. I aim for 110 grams of protein, 25 grams of fiber. Fiber is a non-negotiable when you're on this medication. If you do not have fiber, you will be constipated, okay? That this medication slows down your bowel movement so that you feel fuller for longer. So for me, calories, I said to him, like, I don't want to reduce my calories because it's so important that I am energized. You know, I'm a mom, I'm a content creator, I'm a business owner. Like, throughout the day, I'm doing all different things. I'm working out, I'm taking my Dachshund puppies, as you've met Dior, I'm taking them out for a walk. Like, so I need to make sure that I am having energy. And also too, I know that if I am in such a low calorie deficit for a long time, I will lose hair. Like, my hair is already quite thin from the medication. That's probably one of the side effects. Like, I haven't had any kind of nausea, haven't had any other side effects. This has been the most easiest medication I've ever taken, and I'm not really a medication person, to be honest. But I've had no issues with it. But I know that if I was to reduce, I would experience a lot of hair loss. Now, I wear extensions, but at the same time, my hair is quite thin compared to what it would normally be. And that's a side effect that I'm okay with. I'm okay with hair thinning. I've got hair extensions. It is what it is, right? But I know that that would get a lot more worse if I was to reduce my calories. So we're working on output. We're working on me just getting my steps in. And that's just taking the dogs for an extra walk each day, or instead of just taking them out to wee and just standing there waiting for them to wee, it's like walking up and down the street a few times with them. So it's quite simple things like that. So that's what we're working on at the moment. I think I've answered all the questions. If you do reach out to Nick, just let him know that I referred you, because yeah, he's quite full with his clients, but I've spoken to him and I said, hey, if I refer my peoples, my community to you, are you good to look after them? So, and he said absolutely. So just let him know that I referred you, and he will be able to like help you, because it is a scary world out here with the peptides, with what you're taking, how, you know, what should you be taking, how should you be taking it, how much should you be taking it. And it's really important that I do think that you do speak to a professional and someone that's been in this industry and knows the ins and outs, and someone that can really guide you and help you and set up your foundations. I think that's really important, like I spoke about. You know, for me, that I don't want to rely on this medication. Like, and I said that to Nick recently. I was like, I don't want to rely on it. Like, I want to be able to obviously transition myself off and be okay. And so the foundations is the most important thing. But yeah, 2 weeks without it, I mean, the side effect. And I suppose I did gain a little bit of weight too. I gained like 2 kilos, but in saying that, again, like, I was literally getting my period, and I never weigh myself around my period, because I just know I'm holding on to water. I am bloated. I've eaten a whole extra bunch of food. But I was just curious. I was like, I wonder if anything's changed. And so I did gain 2 kilos, but then in saying that, as soon as I took my medication, literally within 4 days, I'd lost 1 kilo. So again, that's just like, it's water weight. We're not talking about body fat here. We're literally just talking about retention and water weight. So I hope that I've answered kind of all your questions and I've given you a lot of information. But if you have any other questions, put them in the comment section below. Like, I'm always making these videos, I'm always doing these updates, and I'll continue to be super honest and transparent with you guys. But I love you and I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.